Do you track your spending and you still feel like your wealth isn't going anywhere? Because if that is the case, I want to tell you something. Tracking is a good habit and it's genuinely worth doing, but on its own, it will not build you wealth. And today I want to show you the 3 traps that people fall into when they track their money and what to do instead. If we haven't met, I'm Sophia, a doctor from Germany, and on this channel we talk about how to build wealth without giving up the good life. So let's get into it. I was sitting in my student apartment, exams were over, so I had some time on my hands and I finally decided, you know what, today I'm gonna do this. Because for years I had this voice in the back of my head, you still haven't started, you know this is important, why can't you just get it done? And the thing is, back then I wasn't reckless with money. I never lived above my means, I was responsible, but that responsibility was exactly what kept me stuck, because it took away the urgency. But then every year that passed without actually starting still felt like another year of failing at something I already knew I should be doing. So that afternoon when I started researching, I found a personal finance book that started with the very basics. It was a German book, and the very first step the author recommended was to track expenses. I remember reading that and thinking, really? That easy? I was amazed and very motivated. And so I looked for ways I could track my expenses, and I found a free Excel sheet online where you just typed in all the numbers and then it automatically counted everything together. And it also gave me different categories so I could see at a glance where my money was going. And the very first time I used this, I discovered that I was paying double for a phone contract that was supposed to be cancelled, but it wasn't. So that saved me an instantly 10 or 15 bucks a month, which was not that bad for a student at the time. And above all, this was instant proof that this was worth doing. So that is actually how it started for me that afternoon on the sofa with my laptop and a free spreadsheet. And for me, this was the beginning of everything that I built afterwards. So yes, tracking is a real first step and it matters. But it becomes a problem when you stop there. Now I want to be careful here because obviously I'm not saying that tracking your money is bad. And if you haven't tracked yours yet, you should absolutely start doing it. If you want, you can even use my money tracker. It's an advanced version of the one I used where it shows you categories and totals and percentages. I still use it to this day, and if you want to use it too, you'll find a link down below. But sometimes tracking expenses meticulously, it can be accompanied by not actually efficiently building wealth. And that is when you fall into one or more of 3 traps. And I want to walk you through all of them right now. So the first trap is getting lost in the details. Ramit Sethi calls this living in the spreadsheet, where people track their money carefully and consistently. He means the kind of person who knows exactly how much they're spending on coffee every month, has color-coded categories, reviews every single transaction, and spends all their energy on optimizing the small things. Now here's the thing. The small things can matter a little bit. I mean, finding a duplicate phone contract like I did is genuinely useful. But it can become dangerous when you focus so much on these little expenses and you completely ignore the big decisions. So when you spend hours analyzing if you spend $15 more this month on groceries, or equally you research for hours on the internet where you can save a few bucks on something you want to buy, instead of focusing on the real questions like how much am I investing? Where am I investing in? How is my actual savings rate looking right now? And whether the bigger part of your money is actually working for you instead of you getting lost in those details. Are you guys getting this? And Ramit Sethi in this context talks about big wins, meaning that a few major financial decisions taken one time and done right will do more for your wealth than a lifetime of optimizing your coffee spend or these small expenses. And I agree 100%. So tracking your money should give you a good overview and of course should also give you data on where you can optimize, or especially to find out where the leaks are. But still, it should not become a hobby in itself. And the second trap is confusing awareness with action. And this one is tricky because it feels productive. You sit down, you go through your expenses, you know exactly where your money goes, so you are informed and you are in control. It makes you feel like you're on top of things, and that can make you believe that you're actually doing something, when actually all you're doing is watching. Like for example, knowing that you spend $300 a month on eating out does not automatically reduce that number. So knowing does not equal doing. Think of it like this. Tracking your expenses shows you like the map, but looking at the map does not move you forward. At some point, you do actually have to take a step. So it's really important here to really use the information you're getting from tracking your expenses to, for example, free up money where you found you're spending too much, and then actually putting it towards your savings, right? So the step that tracking has to lead to is a decision what you do with the money that you saved. Saved in as you didn't spend on that specific category at the time. And the third trap is the false finish line. Because tracking your expenses is a task in and of itself, it can feel like a completed task. Because you get the spreadsheet, you sit down, you fill it out, you know the information, you have the overview, and then it feels done. And because it feels done, you stop looking for what is missing. And what could be missing is, how big is your wealth actually? So the trap is that the tracker becomes the goal, but what it actually is, it's a tool towards your goal. Does this make sense? Because this is important. Tracking is not the destination. Tracking is just a tool on your way to building wealth. And the people who are building real wealth are the ones who use that as a starting point or as a tool somewhere along the way, and then they keep going. So let's talk about the fix. What does your tracking actually need to lead to? And that is two things. It tells you how much comes in, how much goes out, and how much that leaves to put towards your wealth account. And this has to be not a roughly number, but an exact, real number, one that you transfer automatically every month towards your wealth accounts. Because when the transfer is automatic, then your lifestyle adjusts to what's left and not the other way around. Okay, and the second is it continues to tell you where you can optimize that number. So the purpose of tracking expenses really is to find out where you are unnecessarily losing money and instead put that money towards your wealth accounts as well. So you could even see this as a little game, how you can increase your savings rate. Like for my example, when I suddenly saved those 10 or 15 bucks a month, I should have topped that on the savings rate I already had. Not sure if I did that, to be honest, now that I think back. So overall, tracking expenses is just one little part of a bigger ecosystem of building wealth. I hope that became clear. And then once your tracking is set up and your savings system is running, the next thing most people realize they have never done is look at the full picture, not just their spending or not looking into just one account, but looking at the actual net worth. I have a video about exactly that. I will link it for you here. I hope this was useful. Also, you're invited to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.